Welcome to the No Limits podcast, where breakthrough strategies in therapeutic education help neurodivergent children learn, connect, and grow in powerful new ways.
Hi, and welcome to the No Limits podcast. I'm Laura Jocelyn. I am the owner of Ability Plus Therapy, the co-founder of No Limits Academy, and also the co-founder of No Limits Method. And we're here today to talk about choice. And my guest today is Jared Leverton. He was a content creator for the No Limits Method. He was a therapeutic educator for No Limits Academy. And and now he's a pastor. So he has a lot of experience over the years of teaching different classes at No Limits Academy. He's seen lots of those aha moments of kids that really how we connected to them, right? Because a lot of times we see in the public school systems and other people that have come into Ability and No Limits, they haven't connected yet with their child, right? And they're taking care of them because they're disabled, right? They're managing the chaos is what I call it,
Sure.
right? That chaos has to go beyond that, because if someone doesn't have choice, they become frustrated, right? That's where when you have, a child with autism or a child that's nonverbal that has cerebral palsy, that frustration builds up in them, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not heard, then, that's where that frustration lies, right? So I know that you have had so much experience with it. You're an expert in managing classrooms of many disabilities, right? So do you have a moment that that you think in your head that you're this was just a profound moment that I saw when I gave them choice? They woke up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hate to make it about me, but I think what you just said there makes a really good point, that a lot of times when people see a child with disability, what they're seeing is the disability.
Yeah.
And all of their actions come out of that. And when I came here originally, and I'm very big on calling, whether it is on the educational side or talking to a parent or as a pastor and talking to church, God created us for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And God put me in the school for a reason. Mm-hmm. And when I look back and think about the first day that I got here, and I realized my perceptions about disabled people.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And I realized, I look back to realize what it was exactly that I gave them. What did I give them? I gave them nothing more than my perception of them. Mm-hmm. And then I learned at some point, and I think that aha moment you're talking about is when I realized that it's the perception I put on them.
Yep.
That can label them and make them even more disabled. They might be able to make a choice. I don't give them the choice. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Disabling them even more. And so I think a lot of times the breakthrough moments need to be, and it was for me, where that moment where you realize it's not them, it's me. I need to wake up and realize there's a person in front of me, and that person is fully capable of making a decision. Maybe their way of expressing that decision is just different than mine.
Yep.
And so it's just
100%.
that's the aha moment. Yeah. And that's what I spent really my entire time here and my entire time since in being a pastor, learning and understanding that God made everybody different. Mm-hmm. Everybody's unique. Mm-hmm. And that if you understand that, then you're able to see things you don't normally see. So yeah, coming in here and seeing your son, one of my first class was with your son in there, and getting to know him and learning their sense of humor. Yeah. And that a lot of that had to do with just the life that they have been thrust into, being disabled.
Right.
And the trauma, the humor, and both of those mixed together, and then coming to terms with the fact that, that's the way life is. Mm-hmm. And yet there's power in it. Yeah. Once they recognize, I can make a choice, I can come out of this, I can rise above it. And oftentimes they're more capable of reaching people and gathering influence. Mm-hmm. Once a child with disability gets that power of choice, their influence is stronger than it would even be with me.
Right. And that's where we get to the point where it's empathy or sympathy. Right?
Yeah,
A lot of the times we get into this, we feel sorry for a disabled person, we feel sorry for their parents, even as you can fall into as a parent, which I am a parent of 2 kids with CP. You're like, I feel, you kind of feed on that sympathy. Well, empathy is a totally different thing. When you empathize with someone or you try to put yourself in their shoes, that becomes where you're more effective to the situation around you, because a lot of parents are out there hurting. I can't say that it is easy to, raise a child with special needs, but you have to be able to overcome that for your child's sake, right? And you've got to be able to figure out who they are, as a person and how you can get them to that next level, and whatever level that is. But first you have to be able to communicate with them, and then you have to give them a choice in life, right? I mean, I can't even tell you the stories that I can tell about, like, we had a child in here that they really didn't like grape juice, and mom kept giving them grape juice, but they couldn't speak for themselves.
Right.
And they were like, I hate grape juice. Like, how locked in do you have to be, right? To not like connect that.
Yeah. And working with kids over the years, you get to see their phases, is what you might call them. And none of them, you can't really judge. I learned very early on, you can't judge a parent or a nurse. You have to teach. Yeah. That's why we do the method, right? Yeah, absolutely. Because we're not
100%.
judging, we're teaching. But you see these phases, and it starts with sympathy. And I think the most severe form of sympathy is just a parent who cannot function when they look at where their child is, and they just break down and it shuts down.
Well, they're being told by all the medical professionals around them, not here at Ability, but a lot of the medical professionals see a child with a disability as a burden, and that's not true, right? That then it kind of eats at you. Like, I was told that my kids couldn't, right? And that's not true, right? But that was their perception, and we're trying to change that perception in the world. Like, I'm over like that perception.
I don't think that it really is the general opinion. It's just simply the general talk. Because when you talk to people individually, I constantly hear stories of people who say, this is a miracle child. Just the other day, I met a man in his 80s. He pulled out his phone. He said, here's my miracle child. The doctor said she wasn't going to survive. The mama wasn't going to survive. They started giving options, and the mom said, no, I'm doing this. I'm going through this. We're going to embrace this. And today the child is just like all over the place, just doing things for God in the way that God made her.
Right. And that's where the empowering parents, empowering professionals, that's what we're doing with the method. We're empowering people to like take a hold to what needs to happen and how that march plays out. And over the last 18 years, we've been doing that march at No Limits Academy and at Ability Plus, and it's come into that, the method. So what I have to say is your child is capable. You're capable. You're capable of being that superhero for your child, that you can get them to whatever limits that you perceive that you can get them to, right? So they may not go to college, but they can speak for themselves, or they may go to college. You never know. Yeah. But if you don't give them a chance, you don't have anything. So in that, I would like to say this is our merch, Capeable. So super parent, super professional. It'll be attached to this podcast, so you know where to get it. And it's just amazing what we're doing here. And all the proceeds go back to No Limits method, like from the merch. So
I think just to add on top of that, the most success that I have ever seen in the classroom of children who start with no communication at all, and parents didn't even know that they could communicate, and then that moment where the child says, I love you, with the device, and the parent just breaks, I'm like, I didn't know. But the best success always comes when the parent gets involved.
Right.
That's what that child needs. That's what a student needs is the support of somebody who can be their superhero. And the people who need to hear it the most are the parents. Exactly. They have to know they can be that superhero.
Right. And a lot of times, sometimes, professionals, they will kind of like pull back a little, and we can't have that happening either.
No.
So, there's a lot of therapists speaking on the no limits method and a lot of teachers speaking on the no limits method who are well versed, and you do a lot of the videos, on the no limits method, and your experience is really, really good. We're here to help and make a difference in your child's life.